Well, the race for the United States Senate in Pennsylvania, being vacated by Senator Pat Toomey, is a seven-way contest that looks like it's going to be a fight to the finish. The latest Trafalgar poll conducted last week has Dr. Oz leading the crowd with 23%, but our next guest is within the margin of error, and in other polls, he's actually leading the pack. In our Race to November segment this week, we welcome David McCormick. Mr. McCormick, thank you for being here.
Hey, good morning, Tom. Or good afternoon, Tom. How are you?
I am great. All right. So, West Point graduate, former Undersecretary of Commerce and Treasury, former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Bush, and investment firm CEO. A very impressive resume. I'm going to ask the same question I asked Dr. Oz. Why did you get into this race?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm a guy that grew up in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, with a family farm, and I baled hay and trimmed Christmas trees and worked as a busboy, and I wrestled and played football and hunted, and wrestling got me to West Point. And West Point, I was captain of the wrestling team, or co-captain of the wrestling team there, and then I went to the 82nd Airborne Division. So the first 28 years of my life, everything I think about America, I learned from growing up in a small town in Pennsylvania and from West Point and the Army. And I'm very fearful that the American dream I've lived won't be available for others across America and particularly in Pennsylvania. And so I'm running to really push back on the weak policies I see, the wokeness that I see across our institutions, the military, our business community, and our schools. And I'm running as someone who's a seventh-generation Pennsylvanian and someone who's deeply committed to our state and can go to Washington to fight for conservative principles.
Mr. McCormick, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask this next question. Former President Trump, it appears, has endorsed Dr. Oz in the race. It came as a surprise to a lot of people. Why do you think you didn't get the endorsement? And how much does it matter to begin with to you?
Well, listen, President Trump is quite popular in Pennsylvania, and his America First agenda is popular because it really addressed the problems that millions of Americans and Pennsylvanians had felt, and they hadn't been addressed in the past. So he's very popular. Of course, his endorsement matters. But Mehmet Oz, my primary opponent, is not popular because his positions are in conflict with really an America First agenda, whether you're talking about the Second Amendment or whether you're talking about the issue of life or whether you're talking about fracking, which is really critical to Pennsylvania's future. Mehmet has a set of positions that are in direct conflict. And so that's why I don't think the endorsement will stand in the way of me winning. I see lots of momentum across my campaign as a guy who's a Pennsylvanian and battle-tested, both in combat and creating jobs in Pennsylvania. I ran a business in Pennsylvania for almost a decade. I created 600 jobs. And someone who really understands the issues of Pennsylvania. And people say to me, well, how could you possibly understand given your career and so forth? And I say, well, that's where I came from. That's where my family farm is today. That's where my friends are. And so I feel very connected to Pennsylvania. And these problems need to be addressed. And Pennsylvanians across our great Commonwealth are saying that.
When you're out there on the stump, what is the issue? And there are lots of them, okay? I mean, we all talk about them here on our air. What is the issue more than the others that people come up to you and say, look, I need you to do something about that?
Yeah, there's the big three. And I ask it at every room, every diner, every VFW. Inflation. Inflation's killing working families. It's killing elders on fixed income. It's killing small businesses. Inflation is the silent thief that hurts us all, but it really hurts working families. It's energy policy. Energy is bountiful in Pennsylvania. We're the fourth largest natural gas reserves in the world. If Pennsylvania were a country, we'd be the fourth largest energy country in the world. And yet the Biden administration's war on energy has really hurt investment. It's hurt our energy workers. And of course, it's driven up the price of fuel. It costs about $90 to fill my pickup that I'm driving across Pennsylvania. When I started the campaign, it's $120 now. That's because of the policies of Joe Biden. The last issue is border. And that surprised me a little bit, honestly. But the fentanyl crisis in Pennsylvania is a direct consequence of the border. And so of the crime that we see in our sanctuary cities, like Philadelphia, which moving out into the suburbs, and really the burden on social services when these midnight flights are coming into places like Hazleton and Harrisburg and Scranton. So those three issues I hear over and over again. And if when I go to Washington as the senator, those are the three issues I want to hammer on most, because that's what Pennsylvanians are talking about around the kitchen table.
Mr. McCormick, just real quick, yes or no, would you back federal legislation that would prevent the federal government from resettling illegal immigrants in any state or jurisdiction without that jurisdiction's permission?
Yes,
Okay.
I would support that legislation.
All right, David McCormick, we're going to be following this race in Pennsylvania. It's going to be a fight to the finish. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir.
Thank you.